Hi everyone, this is Heather. Thanks so much for joining me. Today we're going to be making 2 fall fairy mixed media pieces. When I'm working with mixed media, I like to get kind of a general idea in my head of the theme and the color scheme that I'm going to be working on. And today I wanted to do some fall fairies. So I'll go through my stash and kind of pick out some things that I think might work. I probably won't use it all, but I kind of like to have it on hand. So the first thing that I like to do is decide what type of base I'm making. Am I making a card, a canvas, or a different type of background? Today I'm going to be working on some vintage bingo cards. I also went through and picked out some mushroom stickers, some paper dolls from Tim Holtz, some scraps of pattern paper. I've got ribbon, some distress ink, some wire, Scrabble tiles, just anything that I thought might work for these projects. I also will grab some different adhesives. I have a glue stick, some glue dots, some foam tape, and also paints and inks. I'm going to start working on my larger piece, and the background for this piece is going to be a vintage bingo card. These cards are readily available at places like eBay and Etsy, or if you have a really good antique store, a lot of places like that will have paper ephemera like this. I have some pattern paper that I'm going to be using as a hill, a mushroom sticker, a Tim Holtz paper doll, and some pretty glitter butterfly stickers in fall colors. I've measured this polka dot pattern paper to be the same width as my bingo card. And I'm going to take my scissors and just freestyle some hills. If you want to use a die for this, like you would make for cards or scrapbooking, you could definitely do that, but I just like the loose freehand look. And I'm going to do a couple of those hills to give it a little bit of layering. I've grabbed a piece of scrap paper and my Distress Oxide brushed corduroy ink and a sponge dauber. And I want to add a little bit of inking all around these hill pieces that I've cut out. It'll add some aging and help to add more depth to the scene. I've inked up both of these pieces and I'm going to set them aside for now. And I'm going to come back to the Distress Oxide in just a second. I've got my paint palette and a little bit of white liquid gesso. I'm going to place a little bit on my palette and pick some up with a sponge brush, and I want to wipe off a lot of the paint. You want to have just a small amount of paint on there. So I want to give this background piece a little bit of a whitewashed look. And so I'm just going to add loose strokes. The gesso has sort of a semi-transparent look, so you can still see the bingo card underneath, but it adds that cool whitewashed vintage look. With the gesso applied to my bingo card, I'm going to go in again with that same Distress Oxide ink and go around the edges of the bingo card. I don't really need to do the bottom edge because I'm going to be putting those paper hills down at the bottom. And if you want to rub a little bit of extra ink around on your bingo card, you can just add a few little spaces where it's a little bit darker and just helps add to that aged vintage look. Next, I'm going to add some color to some of the embellishments that I'd like to place on my piece. I have these Scrabble tiles that spell out fall. I've got a Sharpie marker that's in kind of a golden brown color. I'm going to go around the edges and color in the sides of all of these tiles. I really love Sharpie markers for kind of slick surfaces like this. I'm going to take the tip of that and go around just to add a little bit of a frame. That kind of helps add more to this vintage look that I'm going for. I'm going to do that on all 4 of these tiles. So I've added the color to all of the tiles, and I want to add a little bit of color to my paper doll. These have a little bit of a slick coating on them, so you want to use something that you're sure will dry. So I like to use my alcohol-based markers. I'm using the Tri-Blend markers from Spectrum Noir in the gold brown blend, and I'm going to color her entire dress in the medium shade. And like I said, this will take a second for it to dry. You just kind of have to wait for the alcohol to evaporate. I'm going to go into that darker shade of the gold brown blend and add a little bit of shading and shadowing. It's going to be subtle. The look that I'm going for is a tinted vintage photo, and those really don't have a lot of color, but just that neat old look of a hand-tinted photo. With her dress colored, I want to go in with the darkest shade of Fair Skin Blend and add just a little bit of tint to her skin. And then I want to give her a little bit of a cheek with the dark coral. And if you get little specks, you can kind of touch your finger on it while it's still wet, and that'll kind of smooth those out a little bit. And she also does have a bow on top of her head, so I'm going to color that in with that same gold brown blend. And I really like the hand-tinted old vintage feel that this gives to the paper dolls. For her wings, I'm going to be using a large butterfly sticker, and I'm going to cut around this just to make it a little bit easier to work with. And I want to hold it up to see if I need to cut these wings apart or if they're going to be fine as they are. And I think these are actually going to be perfect for her as they are. So what I am going to do though is cut off the little antenna just so that that doesn't show. I flipped my heels over and I'm going to apply some glue stick to the back. I'm going to place this heel on my bingo card. And I've got it up just a little bit from the edge because I wanted it up a little bit higher than the other hill. I'm going to do the same on this hill and line that up along the bottom of the bingo card. I want to turn this piece into a wall hanging, so I'm going to be punching some holes in the top and applying some grommets through. It may be a little bit hard to see this, but I'm using my Crop-A-Dile because this will go through any really thick surface very easily. And I'm just punching holes at the top and bottom corners of the bingo card. And I've got these kind of gold brown eyelets, and I'm going to put that through the hole. And then I'm going to put that in my Crop-A-Dile and squish that down. And this gives me a nice sturdy hole to put my wire through so it won't tear through the paper of the bingo card. And I've done that to the other hole. The reason that I do this and this step is I want to make sure that I've left room for those holes when I'm laying out my scene. I wanted to put my Scrabble tiles kind of coming down at just a little bit of an angle. So I have some really strong glue dots that I'm going to apply to the back of each of these tiles. You could use liquid glue too, but with the glue dots, you don't need to wait for them to dry. I'm just going to go down my card and place each of the tiles in place. Next, I have these really cool mushroom stickers. They're sort of layered with a little bit of glitter on them and some foam tape in between to give them some depth. I'm going to take the shorter one and kind of cut the bottom off just to make it fit into my scene. And I've pulled the backing off and I'm going to place those down on the hills. I'm ready to put my girl into the scene, so I want to just kind of eyeball where I want the wings to be, place her over top just so I can get an idea of where I'd like to place the sticker. And I've peeled off the backing on the sticker and I'm going to press that into my scene. I've placed some foam tape on the back of my girl and I want to line her up in the scene so you can see her pretty wings behind. Next, I've got some really pretty vintage buttons and I'm going to be scattering them around my scene. So just like you would use sequins on a greeting card, I'm just going to randomly scatter them around. And I've placed those down with the same strong glue dots. I also have a couple of wooden leaves, little embellishments that I thought would work nicely with the wood on the tiles that I'm going to be placing in the upper right hand corner. I've picked up some copper wire at the craft store. It's awfully thin, I hope you can see that, and I'm going to be using that to hang the wall hanging. So I'm just going to eyeball about how tall I would like that to be and then double it. And then I'm going to take that and just kind of loosely twist it together. I want to keep this just really loose and rustic looking. I'm going to take one of those ends and thread it through the grommet and then bring it up and twist it around. And on the other side, before I twist it, I want to run the wire through those little wooden embellishments. And then I'm going to do the same on this side. I'm going to run the tail through, and then I'm going to bring that back up and wrap it around the other side. So that gives me a fun rustic hanger, and it also is a great place to hang those two embellishments. And here's our first fall fairy mixed media piece finished. So moving on to our next project, I'm going to be making a artist trading card, and I've got these little vintage bingo cards that are the size of a baseball card, which is the same size as an artist trading card. And I'm pretty much going to do the same thing as I did on the larger bingo card, and I'm going to add some gesso, use that same ink around the edges, and also ink the edges of the hill that I've gone ahead and cut out from some orange pattern paper. I wanted to add a little bit more color to the background of this piece, so I've got a Distress crayon from Tim Holtz in Tattered Rose. I'm just going to draw some polka dots around the back and also just a few little streaks here and there. Again, using my glue stick, I'm going to apply some glue to the back of that little hill I cut out. I'm going to place that along the bottom of my card. And then I've got another mushroom sticker that I'm going to place over top of that. I have another one of the Tim Holtz paper dolls that looks like she's sitting, so I thought she would look really cute sitting on the mushroom. So I'm taking the Coral Blend marker of my Tri-Blend markers in the medium shade, and I'm going to color in her dress. And then I'm going to go in with the dark, just like I did on the other girl, and add some folds in the dress, some pleats, and a little bit of shading and shadowing. And if you find that your lines are a little bit harsher than what you would like, you can go in with a lighter tone and just kind of blend those in together. And I'm also using the same marker for her hair bow. Gonna add a little bit of tint to her skin with the Fair Skin Blend. And then I'm gonna take the coral in the medium shade and add just a little bit of cheeks to her. For her wings, I'm grabbing another one of these stickers, but I feel like that the wings need to be spread apart a little bit. So I'm just going to take my scissors and cut those wings in half. So when I place them down, they'll be a little more spread apart. I'm also going to cut off the antenna. I've placed foam tape on the back of my girl. Peel off the backing, and I'm going to set her down on the mushroom, and she's going to kind of go off the card a little bit. I actually really like that. I'm going to peel the wings off of my butterfly stickers, kind of tuck that in behind her shoulder. And I'm going to place that other wing in there as well. And I thought it would be kind of fun to add just another little butterfly fluttering up in the corner. And to finish this off, I wanted to add a little clip at the top so that you could hang this like an ornament. So I just have a clip from Tim Holtz. I'm just going to place that at the top, and now you could hang it as a little ornament. These are really fun to use for artist trading card swaps, or if you just want a fun little gift to make to send to someone special. And here are both of our fall fairy mixed media pieces. I really love these paper dolls from Tim Holtz. It's really easy to add color to them. You can add fun things like crowns and wings to make them into cute little fairies. Be sure to check out the scrapbook section in the craft store where you can find lots of great stickers for things like mushrooms and wings, pattern paper, and embellishments. And look for fun backgrounds on places like Etsy and eBay or at your antique store. I hope you enjoyed these mixed media pieces today. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up. Be sure to check out my channel and subscribe. And I hope you have a wonderful fall. Bye!